As we begin today's video, you've seen the title, I'm ranking my handhelds. My opinion, my personal opinion. So please, if you get mad, remember I love comments because they drive engagement. Engagement is good for me. So, I love comments. Please. Apologies, I need some water. I've been doing a lot of housework today. All right, we're going to rank consoles, my handheld console specifically. This is an idea that my friend Bright had. He also told me that I need to link the check it video on every video, so I'm going to put it on this one and then not on the other ones because I can follow directions, I just choose not to. Love you, Bright. All right, I'm going to talk about my handhelds. To be completely honest with you, I don't think there is a bad handheld in this bunch. That said, I definitely have some that I'm glad that I have, and I have some that I will keep because I'm a collector, but I don't really feel that I'm benefiting from having them. At our number 6 slot is unfortunately the PlayStation Vita. Mine is actually turned off right now because I have an issue with the charging port because this is a 1001. So it still uses the proprietary PS Vita port, and I don't know what happened, but at some point it just stopped taking charge. It could honestly be the guy I bought it from didn't disclose that was an issue. It was an online purchase. I don't really know. I'm gonna get it fixed. I just keep forgetting to actually take it to the place. So I've had a quote sitting there for like 3 weeks. Sorry. But the PS Vita, in my opinion, is very, very overrated. And this is a little sacrilegious because, again, I tend to go against the grain because I form my own opinions by actually playing things and using things instead of just taking YouTubers' opinions on them. So my opinion on the PS Vita is mostly colored by the fact that I'm not playing PS Vita games on it, truly. I think the most I've really played a PS Vita game on this thing is Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is not a PS Vita exclusive game. I also played the Resistance game. That one was fine. But there's just a lot of issues with this thing that I feel like add up. So it's a death by a thousand cuts. For one, it's the random technology that really drives the price up that really doesn't need to be there. We don't need a rear touchscreen. There's 2 games that use it. It's mostly annoying. There was a bit where when I was playing PS1 games on this, I couldn't get my controls to work, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? It's because I was holding it like this, which is comfortable for my hands, but it turns out I was pressing the R1 and L1 buttons before I remapped them because I didn't know that the R2, L2, I didn't know they were mapped to the back touchscreen. Why would they be? So I'm not a fan of that at all. Yes, you can remap them, but again, I didn't know. And I don't really feel like there's a lot of reason to have this over a PSP, because if you're playing PS1 and PSP games, a PSP does those things, and it does it very well. And if you're really, really jonesing for that second analog stick control on some of those PSP games, it's nice, I guess, but a lot of them seem to work pretty well with just using the face button controls because they were made for that. Otherwise, I'm really struggling to love the thing. I also, full disclosure, mine is homebrewed, and the fact that if you're going to use the SD2 Vita, your game card slot is essentially always taken, then not my favorite. As a physical collector, really not my favorite. I really bought this as a way to be able to play PS1 and PSP games in a little bit better of a way. But a lot of times I just kind of sit here with it and I'm like, I don't really think this is doing much better than a PSP. The OLED screen is nice. The OLED screen is good. But there's just so much bloat to the thing. There's so much unnecessary technology. The game library has... everything good has been ported. Literally everything good has been ported. Danganronpa, Persona, that ninja game that I forget the name of, that's been ported out too. It's not looking good, So if you're somebody who you're thinking do I need a PS Vita? I mean, as a collector, you always want things, even if you don't need them. But if you're not really in the market for this thing as a PS Vita, if you're like, yeah, a PSP would do everything that I want to do, I really do think you're better off buying a PSP over a PS Vita. I just have a hard time enjoying it. I really do. I also don't particularly like the analog sticks. They're actually a little too tiny for me. They're for cats. They're made for cats. So overall, once I get it repaired, I may end up parting ways with it. I haven't decided yet. I've been kind of on the fence about it. But overall, I'm very unimpressed. I'm very unimpressed with the Vita. It's, I think, getting way overhyped. There's a lot of you can do homebrew stuff with it, which is cool. But for the prices that they go at, why is this better than an emulation handheld? Right? Especially if it's one that can do a pretty good job running things like xCloud or GeForce Now, because then it's also a cloud handheld. That's pretty cool too. It just doesn't compete very well, I guess, is my overall thoughts. So that's number 6. Number 5 is my OG GBA. I should probably take the batteries out. I haven't played this thing in a little while. Ooh, don't want to get that one. Don't want to get corrosion going. So I absolutely adore this. I want to be very, very clear here. I love this handheld so much. I do. I really do. This is my first handheld console ever. I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, I wasn't really a Nintendo kid growing up, but that's not entirely true. I wasn't a Nintendo console kid. I was a Nintendo handheld kid because I got my Game Boy Advance for Christmas when I was 6. And the game that I got with it was Spyro Age of Ice, or something to do with ice, fire and ice. I don't fully remember. And I was playing it, and I was like, yeah, I think I get it, but like I wasn't super impressed with it. And it wasn't until I started playing Pokemon Emerald that I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And I was just absorbed in my GBA. Now back then, I obviously didn't know how much better I could have had it until I upgraded to an SP. But as much as I love the form factor of this thing, as much as I think it's so comfortable in the hands, it's like it's the smallest it can be while still being very comfortable, and it just clears every other GBA form factor. The fact that you basically have to replace the screen with an OLED, no, I'm sorry, not an OLED, the light up one, you know what I'm talking about. The fact that you have to, IPS, the fact that you have to basically replace this thing with an IPS, and usually you do a speaker mod as well, I think pretty much says everything it needs to say, that this had such a fatal flaw that was so damning that the second it was taken care of, this thing was invalidated, which really sucks because I don't want to mod this one. This is a very special one to me. This is the one that really started my collecting journey, this console. So I don't want to mod it. I want to keep the original shell and I want to keep the original screen because it's special, but I'm having a hard time saying, yes, I will buy another one just for the sake of modding it. So that lands it pretty low. I love the functionality of it, and I think it's much easier to use than the Vita in a lot of ways. Obviously, the library is great, but the issue with the screen is a problem. It's a problem. Next up is the OG 3DS. Now, I love this thing visually. Visually, I think this is a champion of design. This is a Fire Emblem one. Unfortunately for me, my hinge is broken, like really bad, and now there's an issue with the ribbon cable, and I'm not brave enough to fix it. So one day I may get it fixed. But in the meantime, this guy is essentially a lovely display piece. But I love this, the cake layer design is what they call it. I do like that a lot. I think it changed a lot of things between the DS and the 3DS XL that were worth changing and trying. And so some things didn't work, like the stylus placement really doesn't make a lot of sense. The game card placement of getting moved to the bottom eventually, that was a good idea. The headphone jack being right at the bottom, I think that was pretty good. The power button being here is fine. But man, as much as I love the size, it's hard to acknowledge that because it is so square, it cuts into my hands at certain points. I don't think the screen size is particularly a big issue, but I do think it's just hard to not look at the new 3DS and the new 3DS XL and feel like those kind of got it a little bit better. So as much as I love this thing, especially in terms of nostalgia's sake, because I didn't have a 3DS right when it came out, but I was very impressed with it, it's been outclassed. It's been outclassed. But hey, man, this is a lovely display piece. Next up, stepping up above that, is going to be my Game Boy Micro. So I really love the Game Boy Micro, and I will tell you that I love it because of its flaws, which sounds a little weird, but I actually really like that it is too small. It's definitely too small. That's the best way I could say it. Like, it is, in fact, too small. It is made for very small purposes, but that was the point. The point was that this thing was so tiny, you could take it, you could throw it in a pocket, you could throw it in a backpack, doesn't matter, goes everywhere, plays all your GBA games. I don't really play Game Boy Color or Game Boy games. There's not really a lot that I enjoy. So that's not really a deal breaker for me, but that could be a deal breaker for someone else. But it's a great display. It's a good size, pardon my Discord. It fits well enough in my hands that a lot of times when I've just got 30 minutes to kill and I just need to throw a game in and go, it works really well for like a quick Final Fantasy Tactics session or like a quick Mario Kart session. It works really, really well for that. And if I'm going to play on a smaller screen, I like it being so pocketable. Like, that feels Really, really good. And the build quality is great as well. The swappable faceplates, that's fun. I'll never do it, but it is fun. So overall, I like this thing a lot. I do have to acknowledge it is riddled with flaws, especially because, yes, it is too small. But I like that. I like that about it. It makes me enjoy it much more. My next one after that is going to be my 3DS, my new 3DS XL specifically. Full disclosure on this one. So this one does also have an issue where my thumbstick, the rubber has worn off, and I've actually got a little story about that. So I bought this from a local game store. I'm not going to name which store it was. But the employee who works there is not my favorite of their employees, and I don't think he works there anymore, thankfully. Because when I went to buy this, the options were this or a new 2DS XL, and I really didn't want a new 2DS XL. So I was looking at this, and I was like, hey, so this is cheaper. What are the issues? And he said, oh, yeah, it's got the peeling going on, and then there's a little bit of issues with the thumbstick, like just the rubber, but that's it. I was like, that's it? Those are the only issues? Can you mark it down just a little bit more because the peeling is so bad? And he was like, yeah, I can go a little bit further. So I was like, okay, I'll just grab an acrylic case for it. That'll keep the peeling in line. I'll put some stickers in there. Works pretty well, right? Here's the issue. What he did not disclose to me is the fact that the battery was a spicy pillow. It was very inflated, and I should have noticed as soon as I picked it up. I could feel the ridge, but I was just so excited about getting a new 3DS that at such a decent price, it was a decent price. I didn't notice. It had a mismatched stylus, and eventually, as you could tell, the rubber did in fact rub off of my thumbstick, so now my thumbstick is not as nice as it could be. And that was not disclosed to me that that would happen either. So overall, oh, there's also, I think, a dead pixel on the top screen. Didn't hear about that either. So overall, it was not a good deal for me. It was not a good deal. And I haven't complained about it because I should have just been a better, smarter consumer. It's on us to be good consumers. That's my belief. So, like, if I'm not a smart consumer, then how can I blame someone else? I just wish it didn't happen that way because I'm also just, like, not the most in love with the 3DS. I've made a video about this, that I think the 3DS is overrated. Not quite like the PS Vita is, because overall, I do think there's a lot to love here. I think the library is good. In fact, I'd say it's great. I wouldn't say it's grand. I think there are a lot of duds in the 3DS library comparatively to some of the other handhelds, but it does still have a lot of good ones. The new 3DS XL specifically, it's a good form factor. The tracking on the 3D especially, I think is a very good effect. I actually quite like it because I don't always use the 3D, but I like that I can use it. I think it's interesting. I just think it's neat, okay? I like the power button being down here. I like the game card slot being down here. Those all work for me just fine. The C-Stick is the weirdest concession. I don't know what the holdup was on just giving us a second circle pad. I don't really understand why Nintendo did not want to do that. And I don't think they do either. This is the quirky Nintendo you guys say you miss so much, by the way. They gave us this little thing here. And there's really not very many games that use that. So that's kind of another thing that I think holds the new 3DS XL back is the fact that there are only about 12 games that really use the C-Stick. So it's not the most necessary thing. Like, I would say if you could get a base 3DS and get a Circle Pad Pro, that might even be better for you than getting a new 3DS XL. It might be more cost effective. I haven't priced these things. I might be talking out of my butt. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments, and I'd love for you to. But yeah, you know, I think it's good for what it is, but I do still think it's overpriced. I do still think it's overrated. I don't think you need a new model. I think a base 3DS or even a 2DS are really better deals. I would avoid the 3DS XL if you were in the market for one because I'm not a really big fan of the 3DS XL. It's fine. And the new 2DS XL, to me, feels very cheap and plasticky and flimsy. I'm not a fan of it either. But overall, I don't regret my purchase, even with all the flaws this thing did end up having. It's been my little project, and I don't think I'd ever part ways with it. I think it would just be a member of my collection, right? My little Peely boy, as it were. So that's where it lands. I don't know what number slot that is. What is that, 4? 3? 1, 2, 3, 4. I lost count. Sorry. Next up. It's the big one. It's my Switch 2. The Switch 2 has garnered so much unnecessary hate online. I find it weird. And as I've said before, there are many reasons to be critical of Nintendo. Nintendo is doing as many greedy things as a lot of the other companies. The only exception is that they still produce physical games, whereas Sony seems to have bowed out. I think Microsoft is probably going to try to go back that route because they see it as an idea, as like an opportunity. I'm hoping, because I would love for that to happen. But the Switch 2 at the moment is the best console for our physical collectors, other than like the original Switch. But to me, the Switch 2's library is very, very strong, and people who try to discount that, I just think are wrong. You don't have to like the games. You can tell me that you don't like them. That's okay. But like somebody in my comments from my Switch 2 video that I posted a few days ago was trying to tell me that Air Riders was not good. He said, it looks like it sucked. First of all, good pun. Second, you didn't play it. So you don't actually know that it's a banger game. It's an incredible game. I have had no regrets purchasing this thing. I love the Switch 2. I also, full disclosure, how many times am I going to say that this time? I love the online service. I love the online classics because as somebody who, I'm not the biggest fan of emulation, having a cleaner, more official way to use it and not have to worry about all those weird emulation hiccups and little things that can happen is quite nice. I enjoy it. I enjoy actually using the old Bluetooth controllers. I've got a couple up here. I like those. I do. I think it's a cool experience. I don't collect for most of those consoles, so for me, it's a nice, cost-effective way to enjoy those games and experiences without really having to have the space or the money to do them, because I'm not going to collect Nintendo 64. I don't have any reverence for it. Sorry. But yeah, man, it's a great handheld. It is cheaper and thinner than a Steam Deck, right? This is the most cost-effective one, even with its price hike. And people want to be angry and mad about it, but an Xbox Series X is like $900 now, okay? $500 for what is essentially a PS4 Pro, but in your hands is a pretty good deal. So I just feel like the hate is very forced. Again, you don't have to like Nintendo. You can say, I think that they're doing bad things, but I'll even give you that Mario Kart World kind of sucks. It's a weak game. It's a very weak game. That's its own video, really. I could go on about how Mario Kart World really drops the ball compared to 8 Deluxe. I'll give you that. That's why it wasn't in my top 5 list. But man, I've loved my Switch 2. I have not regretted my Switch 2. I think the online hate is so forced. People get game key cards so wrong. There are people who think every Switch 2 game is a game key card. This is how much the misinformation goes. This is how deep it goes. So if you're somebody that's been on the fence and you're like, I don't know, the internet's really angry about it, ignore it. Get the thing. If you enjoy it, great. If not, I'm sorry. Do what you want. But that is my stance. I love my Switch 2. It's a great, great handheld. But it is beaten out by one more. And what's even better about this is my wife's DS Lite from when she was a child. And it works great. It does have some issues with its stop screen. I have my own. I let my daughter play with it. I don't know where it is currently. But the DS Lite is, in my opinion, my best handheld that I own. Part of it is I just have a lot of nostalgia and reverence for those times. I do. But I also think as far as... Oh, great. My son was still playing Mario Kart. A lot of it is that I just think it did it right. I think it's the right size. I think the screens are the right size. I really enjoy all the usage of the touchscreen. The D-pad feels great. The buttons feel great. Screens are bright, speakers are good. The GBA slot makes it such a heavyweight in terms of what it can pull off. And it's so much cheaper than a 3DS, while the library is way, way stronger. Because a lot of the series that were really good on the DS when they got their 3DS sequels got a lot weaker. Or weren't good at all. And we got a lot more weird, ambitious stuff on the DS that I think just makes it interesting, even if those games aren't particularly good. There's a Tenchu DS game, there's a Ninja Gaiden DS game, there's a Resident Evil 1 port. We weren't really getting those things on the 3DS like we were getting on the DS. So I think its library is a lot cooler. And I know you can't homebrew it or whatever, but an R4 card exists. But if you're a new collector especially, and you're like, ooh, battery's dying. And you're like, what do I do? Your best option, in my opinion, is to start with the DS Lite. As far as handhelds go, it will not let you down. So those are my opinions. What do you think? Am I crazy? Am I blinded by nostalgia? Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you just hate Nintendo? Leave comments below. This is day 27 of posting a video every day for 30 days. We're so close, guys. I'm enjoying it. Please check out the other videos in this playlist here. You might notice that I'm rushing because my battery is low on my mic. So we're going to go ahead and cut it a little short. Thanks for watching. I gotta go charge.